Good to know. Well, let's go to the Bracer Guild then.
ごめんください。
Pardon us.
失礼します。
Sorry if we're interrupting.
あなたたち。
いや、ロイドたちか。
Hey guys, what the fuck is going
や
on?
れやれ。揃いも揃ってしけた面並べてんな。
余計なお世話だと言いたいところだが、まあ否定はせん。
よりにもよってなんでアリオスさんが寝耳に水すぎるよ。本当にそんな気配は全然なかったものね。強いて言うならオルキスタワーを訪れることが最近多かったくらいかしら。
そうね。あくまで今後のギルドの対応を協議しに行ってたはずだけど、まさかこんな段取りを話し合っていたなんて。
実はそのあたりをお聞きしたくて来たんです。アリオスさんはまだギルドに所属してるんですか？
昨夜いきなり辞表を出して、遊撃士のエンブレムを返してきたわ。持っていた仕事は全部片付けて、今後の対応策も出してくれたのはいかにも彼らしいけど。
そうだったんですか。確かにアリオスさんらしい几帳面さですね。
だがこのように唐突に辞めるのはさすがに問題だろう。しかもクロスベル独立国の国防軍長官などと。
こう言ってはなんだけど、エレボニアの反応が怖いわね。資産凍結なんていう脅迫すらしてしまっている状態だし。そうだね。共和国の反応も怖いな。
だがアリオスさんの気持ちも理解できないわけじゃない。
スコット、
どういうこと？
俺もアリオスさんと同じクロスベル市の出身だが、確かに演説にもあったような原因不明の不可解な事故は年に 1,2 回は起きていたんだ。本当のことはわからないけど、皆帝国か共和国絡みで起きたことだとはうすうす感じていた。
それは
まあここ最近はそうした事故は起きてないが、5年前アリオスさんの奥さんとしずくちゃんが巻き込まれた事故が最後と言えるかもしれないな。
あ、ひょっとして
5年前に表通りで起きた運搬車の爆発炎上事故。当初はオーバルエンジンの暴走と可燃性の積み荷が原因とされたけど、確かに不審な点は多すぎたわ。そしてその事故に巻き込まれて奥さんのさやさんは亡くなり、しずくちゃんは光を失った。
そういう顛末だったのかよ。
断片的な情報はある程度は聞いていましたが。それでアリオスさんは警察を辞めてギルドに移って。
私もアリオスとはその後からの付き合いだけど、彼一言も言わなかったけどずっと引っかかってたんでしょうね。そう考えると今回の大役を引き受けたのもようやく腑に落ちた気がするわ。
ミシェルさん、失礼は承知で尋ねますが、アリオスさんのスケジュールで不審な点はありませんでしたか？
え？
ロイド君、どういうこと？
国防軍の司令長官、いきなり引き受けるにはあまりに重すぎる役目だと思います。多分ビータ市長、いや大統領との間で
I mean, we did just say at the beginning of the conversation that he was going to work his tower more often.
それも最近ではなく、しばらく前から。
ミシェル？
まさか本当なのか？
確かに 行き先など報告と食い違っていることはたまにあったわ。あれだけ仕事を抱えてたら当然だとは思ってたけど、
Oh, so he straight up lied about it?
考え
Cool.
てみればアリオスが報告を間違うなんて不自然極まりないのよね。
それじゃあそうした時間にディーター市長とコンタクトを。
その可能性は考えられるかもしれない。ロイド君さすがね。怖いくらいの洞察力だわ。
いえ、失礼なことを言ってすみません。その失礼ついでにお聞きしますけど、そうしたアリオスさんの行き先やスケジュールの食い違い、半年以上前で覚えはありませんか？
半年以上前って
More than half a year ago.
まだディーターさんが市長にもなっていませんが。
そこまで前だとさすがに覚えてないんだけど。
I'd have forgotten. I would have definitely forgotten.
でもあれがあったか。
I guess there was one important one.
創立記念祭の最終日よ。彼仕事でレミフェリアに出張することになってたんだけど、それを急遽キャンセルしたのを報告し損なってたのよ。後で気づいて聞いてみたら、忙しくて報告し損なったって言ってたけど、何か気になるの？
まあ、あの記念祭は殺人的な忙しさだったし。
報告に齟齬があったとしても、無理もないと思うな。
記念祭の最終日。
What happened back then?
最終日といえば
Hmm.
あれがありましたけど。
それがどうつながってるんだ？
Someone had to have placed Kia's trunk.
でも何かつながりそうな気がする。今ま
But
で
still the one loose end from that auction.
見過ごしていた点と点が。
If they're bringing up now,
すみません、失礼します。
there's nothing specifically tying Arios to it except
こちら
for
クロスベル
availability.
特務支援課で。
クロスベル国防軍特務支援課の間違いじゃないのか？
Is this what I think it is?
あなたは
さて私は誰でしょう？
Okay,
正
Lecter.
解された方には漏れなく豪華景品を。
くだらないクイズは結構です。一体どの面を下げてクロスベルにやってきたんですか？
やれやれ、嫌われたもんだな。派手なことになってるみたいだが、ちょっと会って話せないか？ま、損はさせないと思うぜ。
わかりました。どこに行けばいいんですか？
クリムゾン商会、いや、元ルバーチェ商会と言った方がいいか。あそこの会長室にするか。
地下のあそこですか？わかりました。
そんじゃ、待ってるぜ。
もしかして行方不明のザオシとか？そういえばこの前ランディさんがいなくなった時連絡をもらいましたね。
そうだったのか。
いや、違う。帝国軍のレクター大尉だ。
あの人、
Hmm.
またクロスベルに来ていたんですか？
確かにどの面下げてって感じだな。
どうやら旧ルバーチェ商会で話があるみたいだ。赤い星座とのつながりを考えるととても油断はできないけど。
だな。
虎穴にいらずんばですね。準備だけは万全にした方が良さそうね。
あなたたちも大変そうね。
どうやら面倒な相手とやり合うみたいだな。
情報局のアランドールか。恐ろしく厄介な若造らしいが。
厳しそうなら助立ちするから遠慮なく言ってよ。
そうね。湿地帯での借りもあるし。
That's neat.
ありがとうございます。手に負えなさそうだったらぜひ力を貸してください。
Will certainly plan to retaliate, that is if they haven't already begun to do so. Arundel's call to the SSS pertains to that somehow, more likely than not. Calvert is probably taking the same steps over on their end too. I wonder if we'll get to talk to Kilika. Who knows where the church stands on this? Where's Aeolia? Did they go up with Scott? Prince Albert is a wise man, so he surely put what's best for his people first. I had better touch base with St. Ursula about this. The guild is going to need to figure out how to handle the situation as well. I get how Arius feels. Still, I don't think he'd resign from the guild for something like this. Brooding over it won't change anything, though. Now that he's gone, the rest of us bracers need to pick up the slack. Okay, before we actually do that, there's something we can do. A hidden quest. We're not allowed to drive the car outside of the city, but fairly nearby, there's something we can find. So as before, you can have an interview with Mr. Nielsen here, and he'll ask you some questions at specific points. You have to answer them correctly to get extra points. And this one will be about the man the grave in front of him belongs to. Mr. Nielsen. Ah, is that you, Lloyd? This grave belongs to Lloyd's older brother. You were here to visit him, weren't you? That's right. There was something I wanted to speak with Guy about. You wanted to talk to my brother? Yes, I wish to tell him about the raid, the Declaration of Independence, and President Croix's speech. The people of Crossblood are all facing a singular direction, irrespective of their own personal emotions. It is for that reason that I'm opting to go against the grain and ponder the darkness of the past instead. Darkness of the past? Do you mean... Yes, I do. I'm referring to the murder of your older brother, Detective Guy Bannings. I beg your pardon? Guy's death? Where's this coming from? And why now? Are you saying there's never been a more perfect time? What exactly is it that you know, Mr. Nielsen? Lloyd, Special Support Section. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like for us to head elsewhere so we can review that case together. How does that sound? Agree to Nielsen's proposal. If you're willing to, then so are we. Thank you for your cooperation. It just so happens that I have the perfect place in mind. Let's make our way back to the city. Out of curiosity, Mr. Nielsen, why come to Garantis specifically? 3 years ago, Guy and I agreed to meet here for another one of our friendly exchanges of information. It was shortly before that meeting when I learned of his death. Oh, that explains it. The secret behind the cult incident? The arrest of the Imperial and Republican faction Diet members, the election of a new mayor, the inaugural meeting of the Western Moria Trade Conference, the raid on Crossbell City, and now the declaration of Crossbellan independence. While each of these events may appear isolated on the surface, in truth, they are closely intertwined. In other words, they are all pieces of a much larger puzzle. A larger puzzle? Really? Yes, were one to unpack the bigger picture behind them, the rest of the pieces would surely fall into place. Doing so should shed new light on the murder of Guy Bannings. That is why I proposed this new case review. I understand, however, if you'd rather spare yourself the heartache, Lloyd. No, I'm alright. Lloyd, are you certain of that? Don't forget, time ain't exactly on our side today. We should get the show on the road. That's perfectly fine with me. Let us begin, then. First and foremost, we should examine the conditions under which Guy's body was discovered. It was a rainy day 3 years ago at Orchis Tower's construction site. The time of death was estimated to be just past dawn, though the body was not discovered until later that night. As for the cause of death, it was hemorrhagic shock. A bullet from an orbital gun pierced him from behind, straight through the heart. Does all of that sound correct? Yes, that's right. He was shot in the back? Damn, what the hell? Now, let us reconstruct the scene of the crime at the time his body was found. To begin, there were signs of a fierce struggle throughout the area. However, the only physical evidence left behind was Guy's body itself. Not only was his favorite part of Tonfus absent from the locus delicti, the CPD badge that he so proudly wore on his chest was missing as well. I have come to understand that this badge was recently recovered. Is it true that it was taken by a member of the organized crime syndicate known as Revashe? Yes, we found it in Marconi's office, and he later confirmed it. The mafioso in question even confessed to lifting the badge off of his body after the cult incident was resolved. I see. However, that was, as you said, after the fact. As far as eyewitnesses go, there were none. At the time, construction work had been suspended, and no staff were present at the site. The time of day and environmental factors were also unfavorable. It was the break of dawn, in the midst of a blustery thunderstorm. Because of that, there was no reason for anyone to approach the scene, much less witness the actual murder. To make matters worse, Guy never informed anyone of where he was heading prior to the incident. And that is where my trail goes cold. What you just heard is the entirety of what I've managed to gather these past 3 years. That is, unless you have anything to add, Lloyd. No, I don't think so. You covered everything I knew, too. Mr. Nielsen's penchant for gathering information never ceases to amaze. Yes, though in his case, it would seem Guy was not just a source to him, but a dear friend as well. That may explain why he has such vested interest in a cold case like this. Very well, why don't we move on to the case review then? If we were to unravel this mystery, we must first carefully consider our potential culprits. The obvious place to start would be to go over the most likely suspects, namely Revashe and the DG cult. Do you believe that either of them might be the perpetrator, Lloyd? Could Guy have been killed by someone from the Mafia or the DG cult? It couldn't be either of them because no one knew what happened in the end. No, it couldn't have been either of them. As far as the Mafia goes, Marconi denied that he and his men were responsible. Of course, his word only means so much on its own. But Joaquim told us that although he arranged for Revashe to kill my brother, they failed. Garcia Rossi admitted to him when Marconi tried to take credit. There's also no evidence that any of their subordinates went behind their backs to carry out a hit. Not only that, but Guy was also already investigating both the Mafia and Joaquim. His defenses were up. He would have never put himself in a position where either of them could make an attempt on his life. I just can't fathom that being the case. Gotta agree, chances are slim. Everything we've come to learn about the dude says he wasn't just ballsy, he was a damn good detective too. That he was. I can never believe for a second that he died fighting the Mafia or the cult. I feel just the same way myself. The elements of this case would appear to point elsewhere. The theory may have held water prior to the cult incident, but at this point, we can safely rule out both Revashe and the cult. So let's move down the list. Could he have been assassinated on behalf of one of the two major powers? By a dead member from the Imperial or Republican faction, say, or one of the government officials they aligned with, or perhaps a foreign intelligence officer. Do you think it's possible that Guy's killer might fit into any of those categories? I'm actually not sure about this one, given what the information we know, but the walkthrough says you should pick it's not very likely, so that's what we're gonna pick. I think that's pretty unlikely. It's true that there have always been corrupt officials within Crossbow with ties to the two major powers. And it's also true that my brother was quick to push against the injustices they committed. Plus, we can now say for certain that spies from both countries were making frequent visits to Crossbow around that time. But as much as I believed in my brother, he was in no real position to touch them. They couldn't have viewed him as a serious threat. Oh, so that's the angle they're going with. Unfortunately, you're probably right. As much as I hate to admit it, either nation could apply tremendous pressure on the CPD through the state government if they really wanted to. Especially under the old administration when Guy was alive, it would have been far too easy. Yeah, it just doesn't fit. Why go to the effort of luring out and killing one single detective when a bureaucratic red tape is effective enough as is? A high-risk, low-reward maneuver like that just wouldn't have been worth it, no matter how much of a thorn in their side he was. Let's say, and I'm talking hypotheticals here, that Lloyd's bro was in contact with one of those guys. He still wouldn't walk into an obvious trap, with the same deal as the Mafia. I concur. Impressively deduced. I have nothing more to say on the subject. With that, let's move on to our final possibilities. Out of a sizable pool of potential suspects, you've eliminated every one of them so far. Tell me then, who else do you suppose could fit the profile of Guy's killer? Someone he could never have expected to take the chance. The options are someone from Ouroboros, someone from the CPD, or a personal acquaintance. Who would he have his guard down against? Who would he meet in an empty construction site? Guy was still wary of them, no doubt, but it had to have been someone he knew well. That's the only answer that fits. Huh? You serious? And what brings you to that conclusion? Well, first of all, Guy never revealed to anyone where he was going beforehand. That leads me to believe that he was confident in his ability to handle the situation alone. The only reason he would feel that way is if he were meeting someone he knew personally. If that's true, whether Guy was asked to go there or whether the meeting was his idea is impossible to say. But consider where they met, an empty construction site. Clearly, whatever they planned to discuss was important. They didn't want anybody to hear what they were talking about. It's possible the conversation went sideways, that it broke down to the point of no return. Maybe that's why the killer took his life. And what conversation would that be? Honestly, I don't have the slightest clue. They're saying... I shot to the back, though. Would it be the person he discussed things with? But whatever it was, it cost him his life, and that means it was grave enough to silence him over. I don't use this word lightly, but it might have been linked to a deep conspiracy of some kind. A conspiracy? When we began this review, you said that unpacking the bigger picture could shed new light on the case. At that moment, I felt like something clicked way back. At that moment, I feel like something clicked way in the back of my mind. Did you now? I can't get past the idea that my brother was closing in on some kind of secret plot. A plot concocted by somebody connected to the DG cult, the Mafia, the Empire, and the Republic, yet also separate from them. Whoever it was, they couldn't allow Guy to interfere, and chances are that conspiracy is still alive and well to this day. Doesn't that sound like the most logical explanation? Connected, yet also separate. And you say this conspiracy is still ongoing. It's hard to draw any other conclusion. The killer is still... It's hard to draw any other conclusion. The killer is still at large, after all. That fact alone is enough to tell me that whatever they killed Guy over is a long ways from settled. Mr. Nielsen? Sorry, was that too far-fetched? No, not at all. I think your reasoning is perfectly sound. Let me ask you this, Lloyd. As we were reviewing this case, did any particular suspect came to mind? One who could, in theory, have called Guy out to that construction site and murdered him 3 years ago. No, unfortunately not. To his credit, Guy was popular. Even if we narrow it down to those he knew personally, there's still a lot of people. Do we still have his badge from the previous game? Can we see it? There are also 2 other key details. His back was turned when it happened, and his stompas were removed from the scene afterwards. And, it was also a gunshot wound. I suspect that both of those facts are vital to figuring out what really happened that day. Then again, if that evidence alone was enough to identify the killer, the First Division would have solved this case 3 years ago. That's a fair assessment. Unfortunately, not every clue has been revealed, and so the culprit cannot yet be identified. However, I do think one thing has made itself very clear. The only person who can uncover those final missing pieces and solve this puzzle is you, Lloyd. Mr. Nielsen? Only you can do it. Right, and I intend to do just that. Glad to hear it. It's strange. I suddenly feel as though I made good on my promise to share intel with Guy here 3 years ago. Well, I guess Lloyd can't keep up that promise. I owe you all my deepest gratitude for indulging me with this review session. Not at all. If anything, we should be the ones thanking you for this. You're too kind. Now, if you'll excuse me, I greatly anticipate hearing about your future exploits, SSS. I get the sense that Mr. Nielsen was hoping to help us more than the other way around. You might be onto something, Tio. Keeping his promise to my brother may have been his real goal. I'm glad we took the time to speak with him. I can't help but agree. You said it. Now come on, let's get cracking. All that hashing out's got me fired up. Yeah, next stop, the Don's room in the old Ravashi building. It's time we see that information. It's time to see what information we can drag out of Lecter. Inside the scoop, Guy Banning's completed. Now, we are heading up to a point of no return, so I do want to see if we can get a bit better prepared. I don't want to change the the weapon that Lloyd has equipped. But okay, we did upgrade everything from the other guys. Let's try to see if we can get the Evergreen accessory. We can't buy it from Imelda because it's way too much money. But we can possibly exchange it at Jingo's shop. We don't have Midnight Delight. I'm not sure what that is, though. It might just be a supreme dish, actually. Let me just check real quick. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up, actually. Give me a second. I haven't done any recipes. So I haven't done any cooking yet, so it is what it is. So they said Midnight Delight, right? Something like that? Yes, Midnight Delight. We have everything else we need. Yeah, just give me a second while I check this. I'm getting hungry just looking at this. There's some cheese pizza, powerful sandwich, sincere lunchbox, brilliant soup, wonder candy, midnight delight. It's from the sweet chocolate recipe. Do we have that? I think we do. What do we need to make it? Sweet chocolate. Oh, we can actually see who's good at making these. Ellie, huh? Oh yeah, she likes it. Should be the effort quartz. Yeah, give me more chances for it. Recipe. Oh, this is like a whole cake, I just realized. It's not just chocolate. Okay, now we're out of milk. Let me just give her back her mind squirts. Okay. Jingo, give me that evergreen. Give me that 20% evasion, please. And now we can give it to Lloyd. I'm sorry, gonna have to take off the green charm. A gift from Ellie to Lloyd. That's cute. Where's this thing? Evergreen. 95. Maybe one of the later Tonfas will climb up to 15%, but right now, that's as good as we can get. I also don't have enough money to go, enough money or sepets to go upgrading my quartz setup, so I think we're just gonna go as we are. Okay, save. Alright, we just have to go to Crimson & Co., right? Let's just head over there. I went the wrong way.
も施錠だけして放置していたはずですが。
わざわざ呼びつけたってことはピッキングでもしやがったか。
とにかく入ってみましょう。どうやら先に来ているみたいですね。
ああ、慎重に降りてみよう。
Okay, I believe this is the point of no return, so let's save here. Never mind, this is the point of no return. This door, like in the previous game, I believe.
帝国軍情報局所属レクター・アランドールか。油断できる相手じゃない。入るなら覚悟を固めよう。
Once you proceed into the room, you will not be able to buy items, adjust equipment, or change your orbits for some time. Be aware that any outstanding support requests will expire as well. I'm suddenly wondering if I should report the one request we have, but it should be taken care of at the end of the chapter, since we actually completed it. Oh, you look like you're having fun.
ご苦労さん。どうやら国防軍の連中は引き連れてないみたいだな。
だからといってあなたを捕まえるつもりがないと思わない方がいいですよ。
赤い星座の所業、あなたにも関係がないとは言わせません。
担当直入に聞くぜ。なんでクロスベルに現れた。それとおじきたち、赤い星座はどこに行った。
クライアントならばもちろんご存知ですよね。
ああ、まずは最初の質問に答えさせてもらおうか。俺が来たのは今日、テートからの始発でな。もちろんギリアスのおっさんの指示によるものだ。
鉄血宰相の。
どういう目的で。
その前にあんたらに耳寄りな情報を教えてやろう。今日の午後くらいに帝国軍が侵攻してくるぞ。
冗談きついです。
いや、この状況じゃ本当だとしてもおかしくねえ。もちろんベルガード門からだな。
ああ、すでにガレリア要塞に機構師団が集結している。たかだか一個師団だが、最新の重戦車が揃ってるからクロスベルの装甲車くらいは余裕で蹴散らすだろうな。
すぐに警備隊に。国防軍に伝えないと。
いや、とっくに伝わってるぜ。一応事前の通達は実習政府に行ってるしな。なのにディーターのおっさんは IBC の資産凍結を撤回せず、大統領なんかに就任しやがった。侵攻してくる帝国軍を防ぐのが不可能なのは分かっているはずなのに。それが俺が改めてクロスベル入りした理由ってわけだ。
おい、どういうことだ。その状況でアリオスのおっさんを国防軍の長官に任命してどうなる。
わからない。いくらアリオスさんでも戦車相手に戦えるわけがないし。
I like that they just ignored him and just huddled up. It's like, what's happening?
何か切り札があるとしか思えない判断だけど。
もしかして共和国と和解して帝国軍への牽制を。もしそうだったら大統領演説で共和国のことまであんな風に非難するはずがないわ。あくまでカルバードとも本気で対決するつもりのはずよ。
ええ、そうでしょうね。
That's exactly right. Sorry for blocking that.
あなたは。
I was just wondering.
じゃないですか。
お久しぶり。アランドール大尉も遅れてすまなかったわね。
俺も来たばかりだし気にしないでくれ。そっちの様子はどうよ。
おおむね予想通りの進行ね。現在アルタイル市の郊外に 空挺機構師団が展開しているわ。
Armored Aviation Division.
共和国軍も
So airships?
空挺機構師団ってことは戦車と飛行艇の混成部隊かよ。
ええ、機動力のある新型戦
Oh,
車と
both.
ガンシップの組み合わせね。カルバード軍の中でも最高の機動力を誇っているわ。
そんな。
挟み撃ちということですか？
ええ、あなたたちにとっては不本意な事態でしょうけど、でもこの状況になるのは少し考えればわかるはずよ。にもかかわらずディーター・クロイスは一切の妥協なく強硬姿勢に出た。これは一体どういうことかしら。
それともう一つ、2番目の質問について大サービスで答えてやろう。
2番目
Don't you think what the powers that be are going to do once they get in? They both probably want to like just walk in, chop Dieter's head off, and put someone else in place. They also want to take control of the IBC so that their assets can be unfrozen. But they're not friendly with each other. That's why this meeting might be saying there's going to be war on the streets once they get to the city.
赤い星座の行方か。
ああ、答えは簡単。俺たちだって全然知らないんだな、これが。
そんな。ここまでぶっちゃけておいてそれはないのでは。
クロスベルで暴れた後、契約は終了したってことか。
いや、待ってくれ。
When did your contract
赤い
end?
星座は通商会議の時、帝国政府と契約を結んでいた。契約内容は最小の命を狙うテロリストたちの殲滅。それは間違いないですね。
ああ、連中もそう言ってたろ。
でもひょっとして帝国政府との契約はその時に切れていたんですか？
それって
まさか。
ロイド、やっぱりあんた割と諜報に向いてるかもな。もう少し性格が悪ければだが。
それじゃ。
答えはイエスだ。通商会議以降、帝国政府は赤い星座と関わりはない。にもかかわらず連中がクロスベルに残ってたのはこちらも妙だと思っていたが、まさかあんなことをいきなりぶちかますとはな。
そんな。
Someone else must have hired them right
どうして
afterwards.
おじきたちはあんな真似を。
But who?
まさか結社と新たな契約を結んだとか？
いえ、それもおかしな話ね。かつてリベールの異変では彼らは強化傭兵という独自の戦闘部隊を運用していた。もしクロスベルを襲撃するならそういった部隊にさせたでしょう。
なるほど。
I mean, it might have been at their disposal, but it's not in the city.
雇う必要はないわけですか？
そうなると他の候補は絞られてく
I
る。
guess they're still discarding that option.
いかにも帝国政府が黒幕と思われるような状況でクロスベル市を襲撃させて何らかの得をした勢力、そして最高ランクの両兵団と長期契約を結べるほどの莫大な資金力を持っている勢力。
Money? Oh no. Who has the money?
ま、そういうことかね。
信じがたい可能性にこそ往々にして真実は潜むものよ。
ちょっと待って。今の話の流れだと
該当しそうなのは一つしかねえだろうが。
One that just happened to be out of town while it happened
い
too.
や、さすがに決めつけはまずい。レクター対キリカさん、情報提供には感謝しますが、あなた方の立場も立場です。ここから先は 自分たちで。はい、特務支援課バニングスで。よか
ったちゃんとつながって。
Cecile.
セシルね、そんな慌てて何かあったのか。
それがさっきアリオスさんがこのビルにやってきたの。
アリオスさんが。
それでキーヤちゃんを連れてそのまま出て行ってしまって。
ね、
私も止めようとしたんだけどキーヤちゃんが。とにかく戻ってこられ
Did she went willingly?
詳しい状況を説明するから。
わかった。そのまま待っててくれ。
どうしたの？
She has been acting strangely.
お前すげえ血相だぞ。
アリオスさんが支援課に来てキーヤを連れて行った。
なんだと。
一体どうして？
とにかく支援課に戻ろう。キリカさん、レクターさん、俺たちはこれで失礼します。
ええ、気をつけて。
ま、頑張れよな。
That's a pretty laid back farewell after what we've been discussing.
やっぱあの嬢ちゃんが全ての鍵だったんだな。間に合うと思うか？
そうね。多分難しいでしょう。
セシルね。
They're still pacing in the room.
それでキーヤは？
アリオスさんに連れて行かれたそうですが。あの白い制服を着たアリオスさんが一人で来て、迎えに来たって声をかけたら、キーヤちゃんもうなずいて。
そんじゃ希望は自分からついてったんすか？
ええ、私にはそう見えたわ。でもあなたたちに無断でというのも変だったから止めようとしたんだけど、大丈夫だからってキーヤちゃんに言われて、それで警戒してたツァイト君もおとなしくなっちゃって。そういえばツァイトがどこにもいません。二人がいなくなってからふらりと出て行っちゃったの。ひょっとしたら二人を追いかけたのかもしれないけど。
どういうことだ？
しずくちゃんのことで約束でもあったのかしら。私もそう思ったんだけど、どうもそうじゃないみたいで。ミシュラムに行くようなことをアリオスさんが言っていたし。
ミシュラム？
ええ、ボートの用意はできているって。つまりミシュラムに行くということよね。ここ数日ミシュラム方面は完全に営業停止しているはずだわ。そんなところにわざわざ。
ちっ、やっぱ普通じゃねえぞ。
追いかけましょう、ロイドさん。
ああ、なんとかボートを調達しよう。セシルね、ごめん。とにかく追いかけてみるよ。
ええ、気をつけて。アリオスさんもキーヤちゃんもいつになく真剣な目をしていたわ。多分よほどの事情があると思う。
わかった。
とにかく追いついてその事情を聞かないと。なんとか警察のボートを確保できたのは良かったけど、どうやらミシュラムは完全に封鎖されたそうですね。テーマパークや各種ショップの常駐スタッフも退去したとか。
例の湿地帯に向かった可能性もあったが、こりゃ間違いなくミシュラムが正解だろう。
エリー、マリア・ベルさんとは連絡が取れなかったのか？
ここ数日なかなか捕まらなくって、 IBC ビル爆破の後始末で忙しかったみたいだけど。
あのお嬢さんはともかく、レクターの野郎とキリカさんがほのめかしたあれは本当なのか。
クロスベル襲撃の真の黒幕がエレボニア帝国ではなくディーター・クロイス市長、
Someone actually went and said it.
大統領である可能性ですか。ロイド、私に気を使う必要はないわ。昨日からおじい様との連絡が取れていないのだけど、
Keeping him hostage?
もしかしたらオルキスタワーに拘束されたかもしれないって。それは
完全に黒じゃねえか。
ディーター市長が一連の事件の黒幕。
A lot of things start to
そう
make
考える
sense.
と全ての辻褄が合ってくるのは確かだ。その場合、赤い星座や結社は彼の雇った実動部隊ないし協力者、魔人化したバルトや場合によっては教団すらも利用されただけの可能性が。
That's a bit harder to tie in right now.
DJ 教団も。
What is your... What makes you think that?
弱ひむまでもってことかよ。
I guess someone had to have been funding him and his
もちろん
drug production
直接の
efforts.
つながりがあった可能性は低いだろう。ユア姫の言動から判断する限り他に黒幕がいた様子もない。
Because I doubt he would just like
彼自身
make it in the hospital without anyone figuring it
利用
out.
されていた可能性はあり得る。
そういえば太陽の鳥
And now the drug is still being produced, so those facilities have still to be there somewhere. If Walt is getting
シュバルツオークションの出品物にまるでコンセントが使う。
a supply.
考えてみりゃ誰の仕業にしたって普通の人間には無理な傾向だ。陰や結社クラスの
The mysterious who moved Kiev from the Sun was never solved either. And this is something that I mentioned as well.
陰や結社クラスの連中。そうでなけりゃ
Who would be in the level of Yin or an enforcer that happened to have time in the last day of the anniversary festival and is now allied with the new government?
夜中分かった、すぐに切り替える。
ヨナ、どうしたんですか。
どうしたもこうしたもないって。クロスベルの動力ネットだけどとんでもない化け物が潜んでるぞ。
化け物？
どういうこと。
最初はネットワークの周辺に変なデータ構造体を見つけたんだ。意味不明な配列だったから単なるゴミかと思ってたけど、よくよく調べてみたら例の結社が使っていたコードを進化させたものが使われてたんだ。
アストラルコード、つまり結社が仕掛けた何らかのトラップですか。
いや、日付を見る限り5年近く前からのものだ。
5 years.
確か動力ネットが導入
When was
さ
the
れたの
last accident that
そ
occurred?
のあたりじゃなかったか。
ええ、確かに。動力ネットの導入を自治州政府に提案したのは IBC グループ。その結果、財団の技術が導入され IBC も深く関わってきた。それこそネットワークの基幹部分を知り尽くしているくらいに。
おいおいってことは
ヨナ、その化け物とは何なんだ。そいつのせいで何が起きる。
それは解析中だけど、ただ動力ネットの全領域を覆い尽くすような巨大なシステムなのは確かだ。しかもそれと連動するようにリアルなシステムも用意されてるみたいだぜ。
リアルなシステム。リアルということは 力ネットの世界でもなく。
あ、ジオフロントの全区画、それとオルキスタワーを結んでミシュラム方面までつなげる仕掛けが構築されてるみたいだ。
ミシュラム、
その名前が出るかよ。
とにかく解析できたらまた連絡する。何してんのか知んねえけど、せいぜい気をつけろよな。
おいおい、つながりすぎじゃねえか。
どんな目的のシステムかは現時点では分かりませんが、祭壇や結社以外でそれだけの巨大なシステムを構築できる人間がいるとすれば、
今はこのままミシュラムを目指そう。キーヤもアリオスさんも全ての答えが待っているはずだ。
What's with that boat? It's the same as we have, just painted red. A bell, huh? Teal, say the line.
鏡の城の最上階にあった。
ええ、そうみたいね。
なんか水面もぼんやり光ってやがるし。ティオスケ、なんだかわかるか？
Randy telling her to say the line.
冷圧のようなものが高まりつつあるようです。
Reyatsu?
それ
Okay.
も奥にあるテーマパーク方面から。
そうか、そちらにアリオスさんたちが向かった可能性は高そうだな。
Kia did have a weird episode where she walked right up to the tower, huh? While glowing weirdly. Though no one commented on that because they're blind, I guess.